Alright, we're back from the speed build. This is actually like a week after I built everything because I went away for a week. I went on vacation and I had a video planned, but it ended up being awful, so I didn't release it. But so yeah, we're gonna go over all the things I added. But first, I wanted to go over a quick thing with Dimorphodon. Um, so I neglected to talk about this in the last video just because I forgot. But Dimorphodon was one of the species which was initially discovered by Mary Anning, who was a English paleontologist who is most famous for her contributions of finding the Jurassic coast, or at least finding many species from the Jurassic coast and uncovering them. Think your Ichthyosaurus, Plesiosaurus, Dimorphodon, many species. And for a while, her contributions went relatively. Her finds were largely unrecognized, and because she was a woman, and only recently have we started like truly recognizing how influential she was for early paleontology. So I just wanted to mention that Dimorphodon was found by Mary Anning, and yeah, without her contributions, we wouldn't have this absolute weirdo of the early Jurassic. All right, now we can move to the enclosures. So first is this little enclosure right by the Morrison Marsh, which is what I'm going to call this, even though there's Spinosaurus. But anyways, there's a few species here. First up is Segisaurus, which is a coelophysoid dinosaur from the early Jurassic. It would have lived in North America and would have been found... Please don't go in the jungle. Dang it. It would have been found all over, or not all over, but it would have been found in Western North America. At the time, Pangea was just starting to split. But yeah, these little dinosaurs... I don't know why this guy's running so much. Is it panicking? It is panicking. Huh. These dinosaurs would have been, yeah, small predators. Only one specimen has been found, and I'm pretty sure it was a subadult. So we don't know the true size of these animals. Due to how rare the fossils are, we might actually never know, as is the nature with paleontology. But yeah, Segisaurus is a small coelophysoid dinosaur, so it's closely related to Coelophysis. Potentially lived with Dilophosaurus. It's still relatively unknown. It was found in the Segi Canyon, which I believe is what gave it its name. And I think it's the only dinosaur found from that canyon. And yeah, this dinosaur was in the Jurassic Park novels, but not in the movies. Pretty sure. But yeah, so it's nice to have this little dinosaur in the game because it's got so much history with the game in general. But yeah, I don't know. I like this guy. I also just like coelophysoid dinosaurs. Obviously, the dominant theropods, or dominant, of the Triassic period. If Smock is a species of dubious archosaur from late Triassic Poland. God damn, that's annoying. It's possible it was a dinosaur. It's also possible it was a Rawasuchian. It's relatively unknown, but if it was a Rawasuchian, then coelophysoids would have been probably around the largest theropod predators. Species like Herrerasaurus are possibly very early sauropodomorph relatives, even though they look like theropods. Sorry if I'm sniffling as well. I've been sick for the past week. But yeah, I don't know. I like coelophysoids. They're just so interesting as like early theropods. They keep going in the jungle, so I'm gonna move on to the next guy, and that guy's moving in. But we have Compsognathus. I had to cut out something because I said something stupid. Yeah, Compsognathus. Very well known in the Jurassic franchise. It shows up in The Lost World, and I think Jurassic Park 3. It was very important in the book. Yeah, it had some really good. That's cool. It had some really good like moments in the book series, which is really cool. But yeah, these little guys, they were very prevalent in the second movie, especially. They're just really cute. Yeah, they are. So, as Compsognathus is... Have I been saying Compsognathus this whole time? I don't think I have. But Compsognathus is a species of compsognathid dinosaur. Surprise, surprise. But it is one of the first relatively complete theropod fossils ever discovered. And it's from the Solnhofen limestone of, I'm pretty sure, Germany. which is the place where species like Archaeopteryx and Compsognathus were discovered. And Compsognathus is very important for the history of dinosaurs, or dinosaur discovery, because along with Archaeopteryx, scientists looked at the two fossils and was like, wait a second, Archaeopteryx looks like a bird, and Compsognathus looks like an Archaeopteryx, but without feathers. Which Compsognathus probably had feathers to keep itself warm, also possibly for display, stuff like that. But yeah, Compsognathus was one of the first dinosaurs that allowed scientists to be like, oh, these animals are probably the ancestors of birds. This guy's been eating for so long. I don't know what's happening. He might be bugged. It's helpful for me, though. But yeah, Compsognathus was very important for our understanding of bird evolution, which is amazing. And yeah, originally, or not originally, but nice. When these animals were discovered, there was another potential species of Compsognathus that was found that was proposed to have flipper-like hands and would have been semi-aquatic. Turns out to not be true, and it's likely that this is just the main species, Compsognathus longiceps. But yeah, it's a cool little piece of history, and I used to have this puzzle that had the flippered Compsognathus. It was really funny looking, but it's cool. It's also possibly found in the Alcabaca or Guimartora formation, which is also from the... I forgot to mention these guys are Late Jurassic. Guimartora formation has a bunch of Jurassic mammals, which it's a very important formation for our understanding of Jurassic mammals. I'll probably put up the Joshua Knupe Guimartora formation piece because it's a perfect example of how diverse mammals were at the time, which is really interesting. Another thing is that Compsognathids have very strange cladistics. So Compsognathus was, we know it pretty well from fossils, and we know that it was a Compsognathid dinosaur, unsurprising. But a lot of Compsognathids recently have been under research due to the potential of them being younger, generally thought to be younger Carcharodontosaurids. Now, the whole thing of, oh, this animal is just a younger this animal has been proposed for so many different species. Some of them it makes more sense than others. Things like Dracorex I could understand being a young Pachycephalosaurus, but things like Triceratops being a young Torosaurus are kinda dumb. I'll just say that. It's a little stupid. Especially as someone who's found not only Triceratops but also Torosaurus skeletons, or not skeletons but fossils. It really does make no sense. I'm gonna put some sand right here so we can see this guy. It really does make no sense that people try to argue. Never mind. People try to argue that like certain animals are younger versions of other animals when it's pretty clear that they aren't. Compsognathus, definitely its own species. I don't think many people dispute that. But there are some people who think that other Compsognathid species are young Carcharodontosaurids or other animals, such as Scipionix, which is believed to potentially be a young Carcharodontosaurid, or at least represent what young Carcharodontosaurids would have looked like, which is pretty interesting. The controversial taxon Ubirahara from, I think, Brazil, is thought to potentially be a young Carcharodontosaurid. Still largely unknown. I love how well this guy camouflages. But yeah, their cladistics in general are also kind of confusing. We don't really know what they are. Are you Segisaurus? You are. Okay. Icons are kind of similar. Some people think of these guys as basal Coelurosaurs. Those are your... Another Segisaurus. These are your more feathered dinosaurs. Think like Ornitholestes was a Coelurosaur, the Tyrannosauroids, the Maniraptorans, those are your Dromaeosaurids, your Ornithomimosaurids, Oviraptorosaurs, that sort of stuff. Those are all Coelurosaurs. Generally, Coelurosaurs are more derived theropods that aren't Ceratosaurs, or Ceratosaurians, I should say. Generally not, they're tetanurans, which are not coelophysoids or ceratosaurians. That's sort of the basic. I might be missing some clades, but yeah. Yeah, it's also thought that they could be Maniraptorans being the dromaeosaurids, ornithomimosaurids, birds, and oviraptorosaurs. You could sort of, I could sort of see that. They look kind of like, a little bit like dromaeosaurids, but the thing is that just because a species looks like another species doesn't mean it, like, is related to that species. For examples, I don't know, Isisfordia, I think that's its name, is a species of crocodilian, or no, I'll just go with Goniopholis. I think they're both related actually. Goniopholis, functionally looks like a, I can't see you. Looks like a crocodile that you see, you know, just about anywhere, but in fact they're from an entirely separate clade of crocodilomorphs, and they're not closely related to crocodiles at all. Quick editing hyena interlude. Turns out Goniopholis is actually kind of closely related to modern-day crocodilians. So modern-day crocodilians are Eusuchians. All of them fall into the Eusuchia clade, or yeah, it's just a clade. And Eusuchia falls under Neosuchia, and Goniopholis, which is part of Goniopholidae, or Goniopholidae, sorry, is part of Neosuchia. So they're not like sister taxon, but they're relatively closely related. But they also, I mean, Goniopholids went extinct the KPG mass extinction when the dinosaurs, the non-avian dinosaurs, died out. But the Goniopholidae evolved in the mid-Jurassic, possibly early Jurassic, and the Eusuchians evolved in the late Jurassic. So something like, I don't know, like 25, like their last common ancestor was around like, maybe I want to say like 180 million years ago. Um, so they're pretty far from being closely related now, but Goniopholis didn't live now. It lived in the Cretaceous, or yeah, late Jurassic and early Cretaceous. So they're separated, but they're closer related than I thought they were. So just, I guess, take that with a grain of salt. So it's an interesting mix, especially with Pseudotsuchians. They have a lot of like animals that look like modern day crocodilians, but then end up being like diverged. They had diverged from one another like 200 million years beforehand. That's obviously a bit of an exaggeration. Might not be with certain clades, but yeah, they're just weird animals with a lot of variation. Ooh, you guys are doing a little social animation. But yeah, we've covered these little guys, and so now let's move over here. Obviously, I had to include Dilophosaurus with its base skin from Jurassic Park. It's Dilophosaurus. Everyone loves it. The Jurassic Park version is iconic, even if it isn't accurate like at all, which I'll go over right now. Dilophosaurus was an early Jurassic predator from the Kayenta Formation of southwestern North America. They would have lived in relatively arid conditions, alongside species like Cerasaurus, which is a type of, I think, massospondylid prosauropodomorph, which is basically the two-legged ones. It would have looked kind of like Plateosaurus. What else? It lived with Scutellosaurus, Shelitosaurus, two more basal thyreophorans, thyreophorans being your ankylosaurids and stegosaurids. But yeah, Dilophosaurus was probably the biggest animal in that habitat. And if you look at this Dilophosaurus, you'd be like, damn, they must have been all pretty small. Nope. Full-grown Dilophosaurus could have been around 18 feet long, whereas the Jurassic Park version is like, I don't know, maybe 9. It's pretty small. And also, obviously, the frill and venom did not exist. That was made up for the movie to make them a bit more creepy, which I don't really get. I think Dilophosaurus... Oh, I missed. I think Dilophosaurus is cool on its own, but obviously that's coming from a big dino nerd. That was cool. Like, I mean, I love normal Dilophosaurus. But Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus is so iconic. It's always been one of my favorite animals from the series. The like hooting calls, the rattling of the frill. It's just so cool. But yeah, I like Dilophosaurus. Oops. Let's try and see one a bit more in the open. This guy's sleeping. I wanted to have a more heavily forested habitat because of the one in the Jurassic Park film. Obviously, these are the guys who... I won't spoil the film, but I imagine if you're watching this, you've probably seen it. So otherwise, skip like 10 seconds ahead. But yeah, these are the guys who kill Nedry. Amazing scene. And Dodgson in the more recent films. But yeah, just awesome animals. I love them in this game. I hope their frill becomes a little more like attached to their body in the new game. I did see a screenshot of the babies in the new game, and oh my god, they look so cute. But yeah, a few different inaccuracies as well. The crests here are pretty like tame, actually. You'd think with the Jurassic Park design they would make it a little more like exaggerated, but in real life, Dilophosaurus would have had a more keratinized crests, which could have been larger than... That's cool. That would have been larger than what you'd expect to see from just looking at the bones. This was a more recent discovery that happened after the film's release. He didn't even retort. He just... Dang. But yeah, they're so cool. Also, the hooked jaw... Oh, I think he's bugged out, that's why. The hooked jaw of the actual species, like they had a hooked jaw at the end of their upper maxilla, which would have been helpful in grabbing and holding onto prey, as well as that they would have used their arms to hold onto prey. Sorry. One specimen of Dilophosaurus is known from a broken arm, but the arm healed, and so it's proven that these animals were relatively adaptable for having, like that individual was able to survive with that broken arm and still hunt, which is, I don't know, I think that's very interesting. Sorry, I have to wipe my nose all the time. Yeah, I don't think there's much more I can say about Dilophosaurus. I just love it. But yeah, let's move on to my favorite dinosaur, Ceratosaurus. Oh my god, I love Cerato. The Jurassic Park depiction, as iconic as it is, not very accurate in the slightest. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have to turn that down. Ceratosaurus would have been a common predator. Oops. Actually, not too common, at least from our fossil record. We don't find them very often, but they would have been found in the Morrison Formation, which was a large fossil formation from central North America through Colorado, South Dakota, Wyoming, those sort of, I think Montana as well. But this formation is known for a lot of species. Ceratosaurus, obviously, Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, Barosaurus, Stegosaurus. Most of the Jurassic species that you think of come from the Morrison Formation. And one of the reasons it's so thoroughly excavated was because of the Bone Wars, where Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope were both competing to find the most fossil species, even sabotaging one another while like trying to discover species. And Ceratosaurus, as well as Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Apatosaurus, Brontosaurus, a bunch of other species were discovered from the Bone Wars, which, I mean, it helped with science, but also, you know, sabotaging each other, blowing up dig sites. I'm pretty sure they did that. Definitely not in the proper pursuit of science, but hey-ho, Ceratosaurus was discovered, as well as so many other species, so I'm kind of fine with it. Obviously it wasn't good at the time, but, you know, in hindsight, it helped a lot with our understanding of the prehistoric world. But, yeah, Ceratosaurus is my favorite dinosaur because of their very strange head shape, and their just strange proportions. They're sort of stubbier arms than other contemporary theropods, the obviously bony crests above their head, which would not have been as horn-like as they are here, the front one looks very much so like just bone, and the ones above the eyes are just look sort of like the extensions of bone you'd see over like a tyrannosaurid, which in reality these would have been bony crests, probably covered in keratin, and would have been almost entirely used for display. I can't imagine they would have been useful as any like tool-like structures. But yeah, ceratosaurs are also known from Europe, from the Lourinhã Formation, which was basically just Portugal-Morrison Formation. I think that was a lion sound, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of ceratosaurs in Paleomedia tend to make lion sounds for some reason. I don't know why, but like, or maybe not Paleomedia. I don't like the Isle. The friendly call for Ceratosaurus is just a lion. So I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I love ceratosaurs. Also, the ceratosaurians eventually evolved into some of the most interesting theropods of the Cretaceous, being the abelosauroids, which would consist of the abelosaurids. Think your Mahungosaurus, Carnotaurus, Pycnonemosaurus, that sort of stuff, as well as the noasaurids like Machiacosaurus, or Machicosaurus, I don't really know how it's pronounced. The Elaphrosaurs, so weird. Yeah, these guys were just so interesting. No, that's a Abelosaurid, sorry. Yeah, the Noasaurids were weird. Kia Cursor, that's another one. Another Noasaurid. But yeah, I just really love ceratosaurs. They're just so strange, and I think that's what I love about the natural world, is those strange species. But yeah, I'm going to just keep talking about Ceratosaurus if I stay with them. So let's go to the animal that oh yeah, I also put in a zip line right here to go over these Jurassic carnivores. Let's go over to the most well-known carnivore of the Morrison Formation, and which is depicted in all Paleomedia dunking on Ceratosaurus, Allosaurus. Allosaurus is, I mean, everyone knows it. Like, it's one of the more popular dinosaurs. Very unique. It's part of the group Allosauroids, unsurprisingly, which most likely consist of the Carcharodontosaurids. It's likely that these animals are related to and or ancestral to Carcharodontosaurids. Maybe not Allosaurus specifically, but yeah. Allosaurus is a genus that consists of a few species. The only two that we are certain of are Allosaurus fragilis and Allosaurus gimetseni. Allosaurus europaeus is a proposed species from Europe, which would have been larger than fragilis and gimetseni, but it's still a bit debated, and the controversial is a bit of an understatement when talking about Allosaurus anax. Basically, the story is a bunch of bones were found together. Some scientists were like, oh, these look like an Allosaurid, but a really big one. And we named it Saurophaganax, meaning king of the lizard eaters. Potentially one of the best dinosaur names of all time. And so Saurophaganax was it was generally considered the largest predator of the Morrison Formation, bigger than Allosaurus and Torvosaurus, a species of large megalosaurid. But it was always a bit of a controversial taxon due to its chimeric origins. The bones that we had as, like, referring to Saurophaganax was just a pile of just kind of random bones, and then when more scientists looked into it, we realized, hey, a lot of these bones are sauropods. And so we were like, okay, well, is Saurophaganax still a thing? There was a huge debate for a long, long time, and then eventually, relatively recently, I think this year or last year, some scientists were like, hey, I don't think we should continue calling it Saurophaganax. This is clearly a chimera of bones, chimeras being just like when a bunch of bones are piled together and considered one taxon. Let's split the sauropod bones out and then try and make the new bones into a species of allosaur, which became Allosaurus anax, in reference to Saurophaganax. This is still a controversial taxon. There's the other allosaur. Still a controversial taxon because... social display? Hopefully. Because, nope, doesn't look like it. Oh, no, we're gonna get it, I think. Nope, alright. Cool roars. But Allosaurus anax is known from fractions of fossils. It's likely that these are just, fragilis or gimetseni, And if they are its own species, it's I think too little an amount of fossils to actually. Oh, now they're gonna do the social. I think too little of an amount of fossils to properly distinguish it as a new species. Oh, that social animation is so good. I love it so much. But yeah, anyways, Allosaurus fragilis was the larger species. Allosaurus europaeus, if it is a true taxon, would have been slightly larger. And Allosaurus jimitseni was the smallest of the species. And Big Al, a very well-known fossil of Allosaurus, very complete and consisting of multiple pathologies. If you've ever seen the Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus special, that's Big Al. Love that. Probably my best piece of Walking with fiction, or like media. But yeah, I really love that was Allosaurus jimitseni. Yeah, I really love the Big Al special. But yeah, Allosaurus is just so cool. In real life, they would have had a more rounded skull. The crests are correctly placed in front of the eyes. In Walking with Dinosaurs, you would have seen them above the eyes. But in real life, they were in front. They had these relatively long arms with long claws. I mean, it's a Jurassic World design. It's not that accurate, but it's pretty good. You know, maybe these dorsal spines and the more crocodile scales wouldn't have been there, but it's pretty good. And yeah, I like it. Allosaurus obviously has a Morrison formation, and also it's from the Lorenia formation as well as Ceratosaurus. But yeah, Morrison formation species, super well known. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Allosaurus. It's such a classic. But yeah, now that we've gone over the species, the new species, 5 new species, I think I'm gonna call it there. That was the Jurassic this is the Jurassic area finished. Now we're gonna do all of this. I think I might do a lagoon here. I might do one more Jurassic thing with a lagoon. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start on some other areas. I think I'm gonna leave this area for last. The like resorty area. But yeah, I'm gonna fill in this, put in some more paths, some more stuff, and yeah. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. If you want to let me know stuff I can improve on or stuff that you find interesting to watch, then let me know. Subscribe if you want to see more content. And yeah, also, I did not expect this much reception. Obviously, I'm still a tiny channel, but my other Jurassic World video, as of recording this one, has over 200 views, which is fascinating, and my Springtrap video has over 100. Thank you guys so much for the views, I guess. I don't know. It's nice knowing that people are watching my stuff. But yeah, I'll stop yapping, and thank you for watching.